What's going on, guys? Jurassic here. Today we are back to Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Alright, so we are over inside of Alpha Centuri. At the moment we are in the Aldine Prospect. If you're wondering why we are doing this today, our goal here is to make it to Hutton Oribital, which is also the main center of attack by the thargoids. It's the last remaining outpost to survive. But not only that, we can actually get a free Anaconda if we make it all the way there. Now it is 0.21 light years away, so you're not going to be able to make it in one SEO boost if you have your ship set up for thargoid combat. So our goal was to have Aldine Prospect as like our spawn point, just in case something bad happens. I do have grade 5 dirty tuning with my thrusters, so my max speed is about 460. However, if you have a ship with ECMs, that could also go. I recommend at least having caustic sinks. But our goal today is to have all of our points into engines. You don't really need anything in the system since it doesn't have any shields for this exact build. We're just going to take off. Alright, so with all of that out of the way, let's go and take off. There is no stations that are super close up, and unfortunately there's no fleet carriers that's like parked right next to Hutton Oribital either. I don't know if normally you could have a fleet carrier like park right there and be able to get the Anaconda super easy, or if it always is this long of a travel here. World record's like 13 minutes. I'm expecting to take this at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half, considering the fact that we are going to get interdicted quite frequently. So once again, when you're pulling on the station, put your landing gear up. Thrusters at full speed. Now, using your normal thruster, you're not really going to use that much fuel. So if you have an SCO drive like we do, the plan here is going to be to at least burn it that halfway. That way we get just a little bit closer without having to fly slowly. Once again, our max speed with the boost is 460, so it's going to be a little bit of a travel for us. And we got all that set. Let's do our SCO boost. Once again, we'll take it to probably the in between the L and the 1. And if you're starting to overheat, you want to drop a heat sink. It's going to lower it down and allow you to maintain your boost. You can just let go of the boost and cool off. Either way works out.
Heat sink deployed.
You hear that noise, then as you guys can see, the heat's going to be building back up. Drop another one. Sort of coast in to what our maximum speed is going to be. I've been hauling / rescuing ship. The goal is basically to, as soon as you see missiles incoming, to drop an ECM. That way it disrupts your missiles. If you see that they jump in front of you and start shooting you with the laser beams, that's when you're going to want to do a short range ECM. This specific build does not have that. We just have caustic heat sinks. So basically we're able to tank it a little bit more, and whenever our caustic is built up, we're able to dump it out. Now, whenever this happens, pull all the way back on your throttle. That's going to set your throttle to 0. The reason why you want to do that is it's going to give you a much smaller FSD cooldown whenever you submit to them. You want to just use your boosters and try to get out of the area as quick as possible. Here that we take a minimal amount of damage. The faster ship you have, the less damage you're going to take. This is just a bunch of the smaller scouts, so it's not too big of a deal. As you guys can see, we're still at 100% hull. We are running a decent amount of hull modules though, so you are going to need some armor. And it's just going to be a little bit of a process to make it all the way there. It's going to be the same for the interceptors. The interceptors are just going to be a little bit more annoying since in space they're going to have these swarms following them around. Now you might be asking yourself why we want to do this Hutton Oribital run. Well, for one, it's a privilege to make it all the way there, and I figured why not do it at the perfect time when the thargoids are attacking us to prove. Alright, so once again we submit. We'll see if it's the interceptor this time. So you can tell what it is on the map. See how it's just one big red dot and then a whole bunch of like little white dots? Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you see speed factor by like 30 or 40 or whatever, see like that, you want to turn off your frame shift drive, wait for that message to go away, do it again, and it's going to refresh it. That way it's able to go much faster. Basically it was just a little bit too close to us before we initiated our FSD. And that's just the quickest way to get rid of that. Or you can wait the 30 times extra longer for the cooldown. Either way works technically. That's just the fastest way that I found to get back inside of your FSD to continue moving on. Alright, so we are still 35 minutes out. We have plenty of fuel, so I think I'm actually going to dump it down a little bit more until the bottom of the E just to make it a little bit faster. Now, for anyone curious, the time restraint's actually going much faster. So we've been recording for 40 minutes now, even though it said it was like 2.5 hours to make it there. It's just the more fuel we use, the faster our ship ends up going. So once again, we are going to lower about to the middle or bottom end of the E.
Drive operating beyond safety limits.
anyone curious, humanity did end up saving the Alpha Centuri in the middle of this video, so that's awesome too. Good work, commanders.
Warning, frameshift drive operating beyond safety limits. Main fuel tank low.
Alright, so now that we're at this point, now we're just going to fly slowly. That way we don't risk using too much fuel. We are, it says 30 minutes out, but I believe it's going to be more like 15, especially with interdictions. It seems like we're going much faster. Every single time we get interdicted, we just push forward. Thank you so much for flying with Commander Cretaceous today. It looks like the local environment may still have a little bit of thargoids left over. We are about 4 minutes from our destination. Once again, our fuel actually lasted fairly decently, and even if we weren't being interdicted, the total recording time of this is 1 hour and 17 minutes. That's with having all the interdictions, so technically the time's a little bit off. Whatever it says is going to take you like 2.5 hours. You can probably do it in under an hour. And if you're in a much faster ship that's geared for this a little bit better, you could probably use your SEO drive and get much further along the way. However, it's actually not too bad of a journey. However, there's no real way to really like super speed past it, because even with a full SEO and a Mandalay, you're only going to make it in about 18 minutes, I believe. And that's if you have everything set up for fuel tanks. Once again, we're set up more for thargoid hunting, so we don't necessarily have too many fuel tanks or any additional things. However, with that in mind, we do have relatively lightweight, and for anyone curious about the build, we're running about 5 hull mods and 4 different module reinforcements. We have the caustic sinks, we have heat sinks, we have field neutralizer, xenoscatter, and our thargoid weapons. However, we are running a grade 5 thruster, and I believe it's a grade 2 or grade 3 FSD upgrade. So there's minimal engineering upgrades to do this run. Once again though, once the thargoids are fully pushed outside the area, theoretically you should be able to make this trip much more safe. And I'm not entirely sure if fleet carriers are able to should be spawned in much closer to Hutton Orbital. Maybe you're able to have a friend taxi you to these areas much closer. So you'll have to let us know down in the comments down below. But if not, you do the long task of flying back and forth between these 2 stations out in the middle of nowhere inside of Alpha Centuri. You'll have to let me know what ship you guys did. We are in the Krait Mark II. It seems to be relatively decent at making this trip, and we've only lost 4% hull even after having 9 separate interdictions, which 4 of them were by interceptors, 5 of them were by regular scouts, so it was 5 of the smaller ones, 4 of the larger ones. But really, the scouts are the ones that mainly did a little bit of damage to us, since they were slightly faster, able to keep up before we were fully able to initiate our jump. Oh, I should also mention, you don't necessarily need the SEO drive. It just sped up our journey a little bit faster than going the slower way. Once again, if you have an exploration ship, you're going to be able to make this a little bit faster, since they're going to be geared a little bit better towards speed. The Mandalay should be coming out eventually for in-game purchase. That's going to speed up your process so much faster. However, you could also be doing this in the Krait Phantom. We are set up mostly for thargoid hunting though, so that's why I chose the Krait Mark II for anyone curious. Well, the Type 8, that would probably make this trip relatively easy as well, and that's about 48 million in-game, so most of the ships that you're making this jump with aren't really too expensive. Alright, so overall recording, it's been about 1 hour 25 minutes since we left our last station, which honestly isn't too bad with all of the predictions that we had. It actually wasn't too bad of a journey. We still probably could have pushed it a little bit further, so we managed like the middle of the U. Whenever we were doing our jump, we'd probably be right about 5% fuel right now, so obviously you don't want to like push it too much and be like completely out of fuel, especially after this long of a journey. Thankfully though, it hasn't been too many attacks. You guys will have to let me know how many times you got attacked to make this jump, because I know several of the commanders actually did make this jump to defend Alpha Centuri. Thanks so much for sticking with this journey. And just like that, the station is going to be popping in. Security response is unavailable. We did make it all the way down to 25% fuel by the time we made it here. But we should be able to request our docking pad.
Landing gear deployed. Hull integrity compromised. Docking successful. Engines disengaged.
Now we stored away for safety. But that's going to do it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.